just to kind of walk through a little of the procedure here. This is Yvonne from Acclaim Pros, and she's going to answer any questions that you all have. If you have questions, you just need to raise your hand and let us know that you have a question, or you can, if you'd like, write your question in chat. So, Robert, thank you so much for getting us started. I see your hand raised, so take it
Sure
away.
Thanks so much. I'm not sure if you guys saw the stuff out there on ClubExpress forum for the administrators, but I put a question in for notifications on the ClubExpress app. And I've been talking with Eric Zara, I think that's how he says it. I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher his name. But I've been talking with him back and forth on how to get that notification on the outside of the app. So it's like a text message. You would get notifications, so you would see that somebody had messaged you, or there's a chat feature in there as well. And we were trying to get the notification on the outside of the app, because when you go in the app, you can see the notification. But Heather wanted those notifications on the outside of the app, so you wouldn't have to open the app to get the notification. So like when we're at forum and those kind of things, if we're communicating with our committees back and forth, we can actually get those messages in real time and then communicate in real time. Where if it just seems like it's more cumbersome if we have to open the app and then check constantly if somebody's messaging us. But I'm not sure if you guys have seen that or if that's an issue or not. So I'll let you guys respond.
So you're basically, you mean something like a push notification. You want to be
Yes.
notified that something has been sent through. I'm not well enough versed on their new app that they just rolled out a couple months ago to answer that question. I apologize.
No worries.
I think Eric is going to be the best person in this instance. Has he been responding to you? Because if
Yes.
not, I can reach out to somebody else.
Yeah, he has. We've been communicating back and forth, and the last was last Thursday, but I'm sure he's probably trying to figure it out, because we went through some questions like, are your notifications on? And, I went through all the settings and everything's there, so it should work, but it's just not working. So maybe it's on the back end.
And which group are you with?
I'm with the city of Mesa, AZ NIGP. Sorry, Arizona chapter.
Oh, okay, sorry. And have you gone into your member profile and looked at the settings within your member profile?
We have, yeah. We went through all that with him and made sure everything was on, but on the outside of the app, it's just not showing that notification for some reason.
And is it happening on both an iPhone and an Android?
We only have iPhones, so we couldn't test on an Android because nobody here has an Android. So we're just testing on the iPhone, but it's just not working on that.
I just mentioned this in the chat, and I think I have heard this come up with ClubExpress. With push notifications, typically, and I don't know if you've tried this, but going into your phone's or your device's settings and finding the app, that's where you will allow push notifications to come in through the phone or through the device.
Yep, those are all on. Yeah, we verified all that too, and it's still not working. So
to me, it sounds like it's a bug within the app that ClubExpress has created.
Possibly.
I'm going to send you an email outside of this meeting because I'd like to be looped into that conversation with Eric, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, not a problem.
So that once we do have a conclusion to this, we could go over it in a future office hours for other people that are having the same problem.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry I couldn't help you, Robert, but...
Oh, that's fine. I get it. It's all good. Thank you.
Tony, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. And I know you can help me. So if you go to Maryland Public Purchasing, because I think I was told what to do, but I just didn't get it. And as you can see, if you plug me in, you'll see that it says that there's this one person who is, hasn't paid yet, but I'm trying to get him out of it because it's just not working. So this is event registration, and this is underneath Abraham Bay.
Oh, okay, so not your profile. So this is
No,
an
no,
event.
no, no. So yeah, but it comes up because I guess I'm in charge of his membership, and so it comes up Abraham Bay, and there's two elections that he had not paid, but I just want to erase it, and so I keep on getting this $ every time I check in because it says that he hasn't paid. So
Okay, so
questions?
how do you spell his last name?
Bay, Bay. First name is Abraham.
I'm assuming he's no longer within the database at all.
No, he is. He's an active member.
Am I in the right website?
Yes, you are. Let's see. How can you get to? Yeah, yeah, that was also another thing.
It's BEY.
Oh,
BEY.
sorry. Oh, BEY.
Okay, there we go.
There he is. Okay.
Okay, so he's got event history.
And see, it says payment due. If you go back, see those two, right?
Mhm.
Need to cancel those out.
You,
Get
in
'em out.
order to cancel out an event registration invoice,
Okay.
open invoice, you actually have to cancel his event registration.
Okay.
So we need to go to this event, which, sorry about that. So this was the November elections.
Yeah, there was, I think, two of them, the same one. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Restriction.
Yep. So you'll just cancel here. So once you cancel his
You can
registration,
cancel. You can cancel. I'm giving you authorization to cancel so
Okay.
that
and we don't need to send him an email notification. So I'm going to
no.
hit no, because that'll just
Okay.
confuse him. And then the little circle's going round and round, so it's going to take a minute.
So
And then
I
we'll
would go
cancel.
into events registration and
That's the
cancel
only
that.
way you can
Okay.
cancel an
Okay.
invoice for an event. You have to actually cancel the registration. And then
Okay.
the invoice will disappear. It will no longer be there.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to cancel
Okay.
the second one. Do
Okay.
not send email notification.
Okay. And then I'm good because every time I punch in, it comes up and I just couldn't find a way to kind of cancel it. So,
And there you go. Now the $ is gone.
okay. All right. Well, you did help me out.
Good. That's what I'm here
Thank
for.
you.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions? I don't see any hands up. Any questions somebody would like to ask? Latora, you have your hand up.
Hi, yes. I have an issue that I just ran into where we have one of our agencies sent me over their renewal invoice and they were saying they couldn't find some members. I went through and I found all members except one. And I checked all of the boxes. I checked all of the boxes um, for active, expired, dropped, removed, frozen, and this name is just not coming up.
Okay, so what organization are you with?
I'm with Southeast Florida NIGP.
And what is the person's last name that you're trying to find?
It's Anderson
And what's the first name?
Alvin.
Okay. Do you have let's try something else. Do you have an email address for him?
Let's see. I found an old list. But I think he was one of the ones that did not have. He didn't have a completed profile. Computer's moving so slow.
So I'm not finding anything either. My guess, if you definitely had him in the past,
We did,
Um,
yes. We can
my-
try A. Anderson at Broward.org.
okay, hold on one second. I have a C. Anderson. Are you sure his
No.
name's not Calvin instead of Alvin? I
I no, everything is saying. When I look at we have an active report from last year. Let's see. It's Alvin Anderson, but yeah, he didn't have any, he didn't complete his profile. So it's just his name from a May 2024 report.
Mhm. What I'm thinking possibly could happen there. He's definitely not in here. And ClubExpress does not remove people from your database. In fact, even dropped members that you ask them to, you might ask them, can you please get rid of some of these? They won't do it. So my guess would be that it's possible that somebody went into the primary. You said Broward County.
Yes, Broward County Purchasing.
My guess is somebody went into the primary, and I could be wrong on this, but this is going to be my best semi-educated guess, I would say, is that somebody went into the primary profile, and instead of removing Alvin and adding a different person, they may have just overridden the profile of Alvin and put in a new name.
Okay.
That's my best guess. So at this point, you're just going to have to start a new secondary member for Alvin underneath
Okay.
that primary profile.
Yeah, I'll do that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something because I did all those searches and I didn't find him. Okay.
Yeah, the closest I could find was there is an email address in here. Where was that email? That was C. Anderson
Hi.
at Broward. There is a non-member, but that's C. Anderson, not A. Anderson, and there's no name or anything here.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just add him. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, can I ask, that somebody that might have edited it, would it have been the primary member or would it have been an admin?
It could have been the primary or the admin can go into
Either.
wait, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Or I mean, you're right. I think I'm wrong. I'm not sure if and I've never logged in as a test to see as a primary whether or not a primary can edit their own secondary.
Just curious. Yep.
I don't have a site that I can log into to test that on the fly here. So I
No,
would have to.
no, that's fine. It was just a question to see, obviously if it were something that a primary could do, if it's something that can be prevented in the system, right? So that doesn't happen again, right? But no, don't worry about it. I was just wondering about that. So
I'm actually going to make a note of it for next office hours to be able to see whether or not I'll set up a sample and see if a primary can actually go in to their own profile and override information in a secondary.
yeah, great. Thank you. All right, Ginny, you have your hand up.
Yes. Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
a couple questions. Washington State chapter of NIGP, Yvonne.
Mhm.
So I noticed on the calendar, when you go to calendars, there's actually a print calendar feature that I just noticed, which is
Mhm.
great. The only thing is that the only way we could print it is via a PDF? As in a pretty version, I suppose, of a calendar? Is that the only way besides the ugly Excel that I know we can do? Like we
Yeah.
can't do this any other
No.
format.
No, and
Okay.
unfortunately, the other thing is if you switch to list view, And I really, because the coloring makes a difference, especially, for your different categories. If you switch to the list view, and you try to print the list view, it's the same thing. You lose the coloring, and it's just multiple pages of PDF, and it's not very attractive, unfortunately. Because when you go to print it, it looks like it's going to print in the colors. Well, I've seen it do it in the colors. And then it doesn't print in the colors, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you can use back in the month view, you could either use the slide out, print this page. Oh, that's either way. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to the event calendar. These icons have changed. Here we go. You could either do this one here, and it does the same thing. It looks to me, actually, it has this at the top, so you wouldn't want to use that. You'd want to use this bottom print calendar option.
Okay. Great. So my second question is on the events manager feature. So for every event, there's that very last option that says emails, where you send a reminder to folks to register, or the ones that have registered, right, to send them another email reminder. So I'm just putzing around in the back end, and I went under events manager, and then events email reminders. So yeah, if you go to configure, and then I went to email reminders, remind me, please. No pun intended. When I click to that maintain button, and it pops up to a template, is that where that is coming from? Because right now, the ones that we sent out is kind of boring. And so we try to customize it. But is this where we could customize it ourselves? So it's
Yes,
not
you
always...
can. You're limited on your customization. This module doesn't have a lot, and a lot of available options like the regular emails do for customization. If you have anybody that knows some code, you can throw in your own code. You can actually use ChatGPT to get code. It's really pretty good to get code. If you tell it what you want it to do, like add a table that has some information. Kaylee's really good at that. But as I'll just show an example here of, I hope I have this one. Give me 1 second here, and I'll show you what I was able to do for them, which is not too fancy as far as customization of that email, but it does have some customization. So I was able to just add a little box. You put their logo up there. So you can do a little bit of customization. You just want to make sure you don't break the system tags. And this email, the event email to registrants and the event reminder to members, are the automated emails built into the event. If you have, I'm going to just turn on emails here. And even if emails is turned on, unless you set it to go, it's not going to go. That is.
Yeah, this one we don't, because it's a board meeting, yeah. So we don't.
Right. That's these two emails here. So this is for everybody else that might not know this, this is the reminder email to all registrants, and this is the reminder email to all members. So you can set that up. And this is the additional information box that you might put a Zoom link, or just, something, we look forward to seeing you on such and such a date. And again, those two emails are under the configure button, email reminders, event reminder to members, and event reminder to registrants.
Great, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because we've been told that, hey, those reminders are so boring that like they just don't even read it. So we've kind of gone to like customizing our own, and the fact that we could do it on this platform, I'm definitely going to invest a little bit more time in there. So thank you for
Right.
showing us that. Yeah.
And just
One
another
thing,
thing, so that this is that additional information box. A lot of these system emails, especially these very generic ones, if you don't have any additional info, it's going to leave a big, huge blank space. There's going to be a lot of blank spaces, so you may want to just clean it up and get rid of some of the spacing too, just so that if there is no additional info, there's not this big, huge blank box before it gets to the event URL. And maybe you don't need the event URL, but once you make the change here, it's going to be on every single email going forward that you set up to go out.
okay, so we have to be careful too on what we customize in there.
Yes.
Otherwise, we need to revert back to our other
Yes.
customized versions.
Exactly. Just like a system email, you can hit the trash can and it's going to revert. But here you can see, I just tried to, I added something here. I just tried to get rid of some of the spacing as much as I could.
Okay. Yeah, something to think about. Okay. Good to know. Yeah, we do, and I don't know for the rest of the other chapters in here. Even we've gone above and beyond by saying, hey, like I noticed we would say, like other invites, they would say, hey, in about an hour, like the event starts in an hour, we would send that just to the registered folks. I don't know if anybody has interest in learning how to do that in this space, but I think that's worth doing if nobody knows how to do that quite yet.
Yeah, that would be done through the emailing of the event, and you can create a new email. If you have one that says, the event starts in an hour and you use that every single time, then you would want to definitely create a template for that so that you can just pull over the template and then change the name of the event, and then you can pre-schedule that email to go out the day of the event, 1 hour before the event. And of course, all of your emails are set at your own time zone. So if your event is at noon, that might be a problem if you have a state that has like mountain. It doesn't. Some of the California or the mountain time zone is also, some part of the states might be Pacific, so that might be a problem. Or Indiana, they have 2 different time zones in Indiana, so few areas might have a little problem with that. Okay. But the time zone that is set is the time zone of your address. So whatever your contact address is, if you are in a state that has multiple time zones, it's whatever your contact address is, that's the time zone for any emails that you set up. If you set it up to go at 11 a.m., it's going to go at 11 a.m. time zone of whatever your contact us is.
Any additional questions, Jenny? Nope. Okay. Donna, you have your hand up.
I do. Hi. So I'm with the Central Ohio chapter. I have a question about updating someone's membership. Okay. So I have a person, they were part of a state entity. The state entity paid for their membership. They have now retired from their job. I am going to hold their their membership with their agency is now going to be a quote unquote vacancy, even though the website doesn't really do that anymore. We do it manually. So I need to set her up as a retired member. Now I know that I can do it in a manual way, where as an admin, I go in and change her membership type to retired and change her expiration date as I need to. I know how I can do that. What I'm curious about is if there's an automatic way to do it where it would actually set her as retired and charge her the fee as a membership fee, not as a just tack on fee that I add to her account.
Well, first of all, in order to remove this person from the agency membership, you actually first have to promote that person to a full member
I
type
already did all
themselves.
that. I already
Okay.
did all that.
I just want to make sure everybody
Yeah.
else knows that. You can't just change their membership type within the secondary profile. You have to promote them first to a manually promote them to a full member, and then change their membership category to the retired. The expiration date when you promoted them to a full member, did it carry over the expiration date that had their membership already been paid for the year by the agency?
Same expiration, they expire in October sometime.
Okay, and at this point, you're trying to get them to pay $10 for their membership through this October when they have to renew again? Is that what?
Yeah, actually, what I was thinking was I kind of don't have a preference on how it, okay, sorry, struggling to answer your question in a way that makes sense. If I renewed her right now, it would renew for a year. I would also be okay with it putting in the transaction as of today or whatever day I process it, and it gives her a year from there. Because she technically, like, now that she's not with the agency, she technically doesn't have that date until October. She's a free agent now. So,
You're on rolling renewals.
correct. One of
Okay.
the few, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, I should have mentioned.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were on rolling renewals. Okay. There's no automatic process. In fact, when you promoted her to a full member, I'm assuming it automatically gave her a membership expiration that matched her previous membership expiration date.
Yes, that stayed the same.
Yeah. So you could, like you said, you could either leave it alone and she'll get a renewal notice in October, or you could, because technically she's a new retired member as of the date that you promoted her, you could set her expiration date as, let's say it was today, May 13th, 2025, and then push through a renewal invoice for her to pay $10, and then her renewal would be next year, May 2026.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought of that. If I change her date, so you're saying if I change her specific membership expiration date to now, then she will change from being active to being expired. And then I could do, or she could do a renewal and renew as a retired member, then it would charge her that fee correctly. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it says that you have a 5-day delay. So she probably wouldn't expire for 5 days, and it wouldn't expire immediately anyway today unless you manually expired her. But my recommendation would be to just actually process her renewal. It just, let me find anybody here. The black button, you would just, you would change the expiration date to 5/13/2025, and then click on the black button, process the renewal. That will kick out an invoice and an email to her saying that she owes $10 to renew her membership.
Okay, perfect. I'd prefer to do that rather than add a manual charge. If that's what I was curious, is if there was a way, and that
I
makes
see.
sense.
So you were like a miscellaneous manual charge.
Yeah, I could have changed her to retired and changed her expiration date and charged her a miscellaneous $10. I know how to do those things.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if there was a way, and that makes sense. Is you change the expiration date backwards to now, and that will expire her. Then it can actually renew. She wants to be very separated from her old agency now that she's retired. So I said, yeah, we can just put you in as a new retired member, and so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I would do then. I would just backdate her expiration, and then go through the process of renewing her to kick out that, which will send her an email to pay.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have a question? If you want to raise your hand just to let us know you have a question, or you want to put something in chat. Yvonne, did we want to take this time to cover the secondary members that we talked about yesterday?
Yes. So when a when a primary renews their membership, I'm just going to use Washington because I know they're not on rolling renewals. I guess it really doesn't matter. But when a primary goes through the renewal process and they generate an invoice, and then they realize that on their invoice they have a secondary member that is no longer with their agency, and they ask you to remove that secondary member because they don't want to pay for that secondary member because they're no longer with the agency. What you might be tempted to do is just go to the primary member or go to the secondary member, and let me just pull up a secondary level. So this is a secondary member. I'm not going to do this, so don't worry. But here's a secondary member, and you might think, all right, well, Corey is no longer supposed to be on that invoice, so I'm just going to drop Corey. That does not take care of the problem. You actually have to go to the primary member for Corey and go to the additional members in your account and remove Corey from here. And after you've removed Corey from here and hit save, Corey's still going to be on that invoice because the invoice was generated prior to Corey being removed. So what then you have to do is you have to go into the primary member's profile and go to their transaction history, and there will be an open invoice here, and you'll have a trash can next to the open invoice. It'll have a green $sign and a trash can. You have to delete that invoice, and then you can go back to the member's profile, the primary member's profile, and there would be the black circle, and then you would process a new invoice for them. And now that new invoice will no longer have Corey on there. So there's a couple steps you have to do. And this is actually quite common because people don't realize until they're renewing that they have some people on some agency people or secondary members that are no longer with the agency or that they want to have removed and they don't want to pay for them. So this is something that happens quite a bit in the beginning of the year, and you might still have some open renewals open, so you might still get this situation. And if you have a question, reach out to us. But remember, you can't drop a secondary member from the secondary member's profile. You can only remove them from the primary member's profile. And then to remove them from the open invoice, you have to delete the open invoice and regenerate a new invoice.
Donna, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just have a question about that. So what happens to the status of the member that you remove from that page of secondary members that you showed us? What happens to their status?
They get changed to dropped.
Okay. So if, because I actually just had to do this the other day, and I did it in the reverse order. I deleted their transaction and then detached the person that was no longer in the organization. I assume that works the same.
Yes, it does. The main thing is you have to get rid of that open transaction because just deleting them is not going to remove them from that open invoice that's sitting in their account.
Right. So let's say the person that they don't want to pay for didn't leave the organization, they went to a different organization. You don't want to drop their membership. You could just delete that transaction, then go and change that person to whatever their new status is, attach them to a new membership, etc., and then go back and redo that renewal, and then that person wouldn't be on there anymore.
Yeah, you could promote them to a full membership, and then change their. So you could delete the invoice, and then Corey, you can promote him to a full member on his own or her own, and then you can change the membership type for Corey to whatever the new membership type is, or connect them to another agency, and then you can reissue the original invoice for the first agency.
Can you show how to
Thanks.
do that, Yvonne?
I can't because
No?
it would affect one of these memberships. But I can show you how to promote a member
Yeah.
without doing it. It's just the level changes here under member options. And you want to unlink a secondary member into a solo. And then you would find whoever, let's see, do I have a secondary? I'll just put in the letter A. So Joe Allen, if I wanted to remove him as a secondary member from whatever group he's with, I would just do that. Then I would hit select, and then he would have a primary membership all on his own. And then you can adjust his membership to whatever it needs to be, edit the company, etc. This is also how you promote a secondary to a primary. And also how you link a solo to a primary. So let's say, I think the name I was using was Joe. Let's say Joe, you unlink him from the primary member that he's currently at. You create him as a solo, and now he's actually joined a different agency. So then you would link Joe you would first find the member Joe under the member, and then you would find the new primary member that he's going to be underneath here. So it's self-explanatory. It's right here. And if you ever have to do it and you're not sure, just reach out to us. That's under the member options level changes. And I don't think any of you are using tertiary.
And Yvonne, could you show under the About tab the admin FAQs? Just so.
Yes. So if you should have under your About tab the admin FAQs. This is only available to full admins. So if you're a coordinator but not a full admin, you will not see this option. And that is but a full admin can take this link and share this link with a coordinator. But the only way a coordinator can get to this page is if somebody has shared this link with them. And then this is a page that Ronnie has been putting together for many years. I'll let you speak to that, Ronnie.
Truly what it is just some of the most frequently asked questions that we had received, and some of it goes, kind of walks you through step by step. Some of it is videos that we've created. It is by not at all comprehensive. It's more, and I certainly need to continue to add to it. But it's kind of a frequently asked questions list. And then just to explain what Yvonne was saying, so the admin's FAQ does appear, and everyone can see it on the navigation, but what happens is when they click on the page, they can't see this web page unless you're an admin. So that's because ClubExpress allows you the opportunity to create a custom page that you can lock down to administrators. There's no way to globally lock it down to coordinators as well. So that's why if I don't want your members to see the admin FAQs, I had to lock it down to admins only. And that's why the coordinators can't access it. But as Yvonne says, if you have people on your team that you'd like to have access to it, you can disseminate that URL that Yvonne is showing so that they have access to it. The goal was certainly to put it in a place on everyone's site so that they could quickly access it, so it's not in some external location that with turnover goes away. So that was kind of the thinking behind it as well. But we just wanted to show, and any recommendations, if you have recommendations on things you'd like me to add to this, I'm always willing to have that. So just reach out to me. But we are showing that because I do think the upgrading the member levels and all of that, there is a tab for that on here as well. And you can use the search bar at the top as well to take a look. I've tried to organize it. How to add and drop secondary members from an agency membership is there. So this is there for quick reference. So just to show it to you.
And then the recordings, here's the link to the office hour recordings.
Yeah. And just there's like image site and image editing sites. So if you're adding images to your site, that kind of thing. Adding coordinators and administrators and, so there's a whole list. Take a look. As I said, it's by not comprehensive, but there is some good information there. So maybe your first stop to take a look if you're trying to figure out how to do something. So, all right. Are there any other questions? I don't see any hands up. I don't see if there's anyone. I do also want to mention to you, if your chapter hasn't yet scheduled their 1 hour training. So we are offering an hour training session with Yvonne. It's kind of that onboarding for volunteers, for your volunteers. You can still schedule before June 30th. So if you would like to take advantage of that, I have put out a messaging, but let me know. You also, and I'll send you the link to sign up for that. So another just call out on that. So Ginny, you have your hand up.
Hi, Yvonne. Oh, I mean, Ronnie, Yvonne. Quick question on the mailing list categories. I just discovered it because I'm always curious. Sometimes when we send out something that says to all active members, and then we get a bounce back or something. So I'm in control panel mailing list categories. Not sure why the numbers are there and what that means for us. Yes, this.
Mm-hmm. So that is found under the communications tab.
Correct.
And you're asking what these numbers mean?
Yes.
It's the number of people on the list.
On the list.
Mm-hmm. So if you click this, wait, is it this icon? No, that's a signing. So you don't want to email. Like if you run a report of all the names, you'll get 336 entries. 287 of them should be non-members.
Okay. So how is this related to the normal emailing audience? When we create a new email function, an email, is this even related to that? Or I guess it's just interesting because, like I said, we never know how much emails went. It would say how many emails went out, and then it would tell us there's some bad emails, and then we research to see who the bad emails are. And then we find out, yes, they no longer work for that agency. And so we're doing all this constant, like, kind of cleanup. But I wasn't sure if this mailing list category is even related to that.
Okay, so I'll show you a couple of little things. First of all, here's an event where you had 13 people register.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to I believe it's this tab. Yeah, under the registration and fees, it asks you, when people register for this event, what mailing list do you want them to be put on? And it defaults to event registrants. But these are all those other mailing list categories that were there. So so maybe you have one of your reverse trade shows and you want to set up a separate mailing list for everybody who registers for the reverse trade show only, so that you can communicate with them next year saying, hey, you were there last year, we want you to come this year. So you would create a new mailing list category under the communications tab, and you would name it 2025 reverse trade show. And then when you create your registration for the 2025 reverse trade show, under the registration and fees, you would choose that option instead. And then everybody who registered for that event would go into that mailing list. And then when you want to send an email, it could be done through here, or if you want to send an email through just the regular email module, you can find that distribution list. If you type in category, everyone in a selected category, and then that list would be here. So that's how you find these lists to send emails to. So if I choose event registrants right now and I hit add and I hit save, and then I hit this little thing here, it's going to tell me that it's going to go to 537 emails. 15 additional are invalid and 16 are members refusing email. And that's everybody. So 537, 15, 8 are non-functional, and 16 would be the equivalent of the total on this list.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't tweak that stuff, but that's good to know.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good to use. You can also do something like this. Maybe you are sending a targeted email to all expired member type. Let's see. Honorary, let's just say retired honorary members, and you hit search. Oh, that's not going to work. All right, let's say associate members. Okay, let's say expired full regular members. And you want to send an email to these people specifically. Then you can drill down, get the list that you want, and then you can hit this actions button. And you can either export this list to CSV and send them an email outside of ClubExpress, or you can create a new mailing list. And you can actually add them to an existing mailing list too, but you can create a new mailing list and you can call it expired regular. And then maybe you want to put the date that you created this. And now it says, show me on add me screen. You'd say no. And I'll explain what that is. And then you'd hit save. And then when you go to send an email and you type in category, one of the categories is going to be expired regular 5/13/2025 members. And you can send an email directly to these people.
Awesome.
So the add me to the list is, let's see if I log out. Okay, so you don't have it. I think this site does. Oops. Add me to your mailing list. So that's what that means. So you can create, if you wanted this on your website, add me to your mailing list, you can show this on your website and you can have multiple categories that people can choose from. Now, I chose not to show that expired regular members 5/13/2025 because I wouldn't want anybody to add themselves to that list. So that's what that little box means of show this on add me to screen or whatever. So you can create as many of these as you want as well and add a link on your page that people can sign up for your mailing list if you ever have targeted emails that you want to send to specific people.
Great. Thank you for that explanation.
So Yvonne, at the bottom of our chapter sites, there is at the footer, there is a sign up email form, at least there should be. Maybe it's the other template site. I don't know. I can't remember now. But there is a box to add in their email addresses. So what is that the same thing? Kind of thing? Trying to think of another site that subscribe us here, sign up. Yeah, there it is.
Yep, this is it. And these are the ones that you're showing on the add me to screen. And so you have it at the bottom. Some people put it at the top. Some people actually, I've had people that have a link right in their middle of their home page.
Yeah.
Their public facing home page. And then when you log in, for instance, on the one that I was showing you, you can have it set up that when you are logged in, this disappears. Because there's no reason for a member to be added to a mailing list.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any other hands up. Yeah, don't see any hands up. So I guess we will close out for this session. We will do this again on the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So I hope everyone can join us. I will send out a reminder about that as well. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good 2 weeks. Thank you, Yvonne.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
Bye.